for graduate studies at Charles Darwin University. Hello, I'm Tara Brabazon. I'm the Dean of Graduate Studies at Charles Darwin University, and welcome to this Touchstone Endings session on the intention to submit form. I know supervisory training is unpopular, and probably the most unpopular part of supervisory training explores a form and the importance of a form in a student's enrolment. This form can be dismissed, as one of our colleagues described it, as administrivia. But this form not only has a symbolic role, it has an economic role and a quality assurance function in our higher degree program. The Australian higher degree program is unusual internationally. Domestic Australian students rarely pay fees. A fee offset is granted to higher degree students. The universities cover these fees through their Research Training Program, RTP, allocation. Now, this is a brilliant initiative for our students because it ensures access to our programs, but it also presents challenges to a university because the university receives no funding for a student through the RTP until the completion of the degree. This means that universities subsidise a student's enrolment with the hope and the expectation that they will finish. To use the economic language of our time, higher degrees are loss-leading. Basically, that means that they do not make a profit for the university because higher degrees hold a different role in the research and teaching culture in higher education. But the longer a PhD goes, the more expensive it is for the university. Even the shortest PhDs of 3 years just about breaks even for the university, balancing the governmental payment for completion with the fee offset costs. Every semester a student is enrolled over that 3 years before they complete takes further money from the RTP, which means that less money, fewer scholarships and less support is granted to other students. So long enrolments hurt students, hurt their families, hurt their careers, but they also have an impact on the sustainability, the vigour of a doctoral program. And that's where we end up with this form, the intention to submit. It is a fantastic moment when a student submits, a moment of great celebration, but it is a hollow celebration because the examination is still pending. We do everything we can to create a quick examination for students, to send the thesis to the examiner digitally. We grant them 8 weeks to examine the thesis, and then we start to nag them for their report, obviously in a very professional and caring way, because a higher degree examiner is doing a service for the university and they're activating their profound knowledge for very little money. But examiners rarely create the greatest lag or delay in the process. The frightening cases where students take 6 months or even a year to receive their result have a different cause. You see, when supervisors delay selecting examiners, and that then delays the quality assurance verification protocols of those examiners, it activates a catastrophic delay for the student and the university. I know plenty of examples in my role as a Dean of Graduate Studies or a Dean of Graduate Research where the student has submitted the thesis and the supervisor had not organised examiners. Indeed, the supervisor did not organise examiners for 6 months, and in a couple of cases, a full year. So the student has finished. They're waiting to get on with their lives. They've applied for postdocs. And the currency of their original contribution to knowledge is declining. And at that point, supervisors take a year to organise examiners. This is dreadful for the student, and as you can see by the RTP funding model that I talked about, it's absolutely catastrophic for the university. Therefore, what we have done at Charles Darwin University is to create a form that the student submits 3 months before they're going to submit their thesis. This is termed an intention to submit form. It is sent to the supervisor and the Office of Research and Innovation. The student is making it clear that they are about to submit in 3 months, and that this is the time for the university and the supervisors to get organised and be prepared for that rapid examination process. This is a trigger for the supervisors to fill in their nomination of examiners form to commence this process. Yes, examiners can take time to organise. My most famous example involved me contacting 52 different examiners for a student. This was a specialised allied health project in paediatric physiotherapy in regional Australia. But on average, I contact, say, 4 or 5 scholars to locate the 2 PhD examiners. And yes, it takes time. So the intention to submit form triggers us. Come on, let's get moving. Unbelievably, and this does get me riled up, supervisors still delegate that job of suggesting examiners to their students. We as supervisors, we've supervised 20, 50, 100, 200 PhDs. We know the research on the sociology of strong examiners. We know what we're looking for. Our students have no knowledge of what makes a strong supervisor. Also, by our policies, the student must not know the identity of examiners. There must be no conflicts of interest between the student and the supervisor, or the supervisor and the examiners, or the examiners with each other. So if a student knows their examiners, then this whole process has to begin again. What the intention to submit form does specify is that the students can list the examiners they do not want. So if they believe a particular scholar would be prejudiced to their thesis, or, to use the language of our policy, not in affinity with their thesis, then they can list these names. And I advise students to be really thorough in their lists. This may be on methodological grounds, political grounds, or they don't want a particular lab to be involved in their examination. And students list those examiners they do not want on the intention to submit form. We as supervisors must abide by their wishes, and if a student lists a scholar that they do not want to examine that thesis, then we respect their views and we move to an alternative examiner. Therefore, an intention to submit form aligns student, supervisor and university requirements. Students can specify any examiners they do not wish to assess their thesis, and thereby reduce conflict of interest and ensuring the separation of students from their examiners. But also, supervisors receive a notification to contact potential examiners from the moment that this form is submitted. I understand that academics, we don't like filling in forms, but it is important, particularly at the end of a candidature when everybody is exhausted. There is an alignment of student goals, supervisory requirements and university processes. This single short form provides the gateway to examination and ensures an efficient process for the student, for the supervisor and the university. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to Touchstones, our professional development program for graduate studies at Charles Darwin University.